Every single second of every day, your body is basically a battlefield. You're under this constant attack from a totally invisible army of bacteria, viruses, and all sorts of other microbes. So how do you survive this thing? I mean, it's relentless. Well, the answer is this incredibly sophisticated, super powerful defense force that's working for you 24/7. In this explainer, we are going to dive right into the amazing workings of that system, your immune system.
So to really get a handle on this defense force, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. We'll kick things off with the immune system's main mission. Then we'll get into its 2 main branches, the super fast innate immunity and the more strategic adaptive immunity. We'll meet the key cells in each branch, and then, to wrap it all up, we'll see how they actually work together to launch a powerful, coordinated attack.
All right, so first things first, let's establish the fundamental mission here. What is the immune system actually trying to do?
I mean, that's really the big question, isn't it? And the answer isn't just one single organ. It's this huge, complex network. You can almost think of it like a biological internet made up of cells, tissues, and proteins, all talking to each other and working together with one crystal-clear mission.
And that mission really boils down to 3 core jobs. First, and this is absolutely critical, it has to recognize the enemy. This means it has to be perfect at telling the difference between your own healthy cells, what we call self, and these foreign invaders, or non-self. Once an enemy is spotted, step 2 is to contain it, right? Stop it from spreading all over the place. And finally, it needs to completely eradicate that invader and then start repairing any damage that was done.
And the list of enemies it's up against? It's just staggering. The system has to be ready for everything, from tiny bacteria that give you a sore throat to viruses like the flu and SARS-CoV-2, and even really complex parasites that cause diseases like malaria. It's a huge job. So how does one system deal with all of these different threats? Well, it's evolved this brilliant 2-part strategy. And honestly, understanding the difference between its 2 major branches, innate and adaptive immunity, that's the key to understanding, well, everything else.
Think of the innate system as your body's first responders. The police on the beat. They are always on patrol, ready to jump into action within minutes or hours of an invasion. And they're not picky. They'll attack anything that just looks foreign. It's a super fast, but pretty general line of defense.
The adaptive system, though, that's the elite special forces unit. It's a lot slower to get going. It can take days to fully deploy, but its attack is incredibly precise and just devastatingly powerful. And here's its superpower. It remembers. It keeps a detailed file on every single enemy it beats so that the next time that same baddie shows up, the response is going to be lightning fast and way, way stronger.
This table really sums up those crucial differences perfectly. So, innate, fast, general, no memory. Adaptive, slow, super specific, and remembers everything. This trade-off between speed, specificity, and memory, that's like the central rule of the entire immune response.
And this visualizes that timeline perfectly. Just look at the bottom axis, that's time. You can see the innate response picking in almost right away, within the first 12 hours or so. But the adaptive response, the one that uses those specialized B and T cells, well, that takes several days to build up to its full strength. That gap, that's where the innate system has to hold the line.
Okay, so let's take a closer look at those first responders. What exactly makes up this immediate innate defense? Well, it's a system with a bunch of layers. The very first line of defense is just physical stuff, your skin, mucous membranes. But if something breaks through, there's a whole crew of cellular defenders just waiting. This includes cells called phagocytes, which literally means eating cells, like these big macrophages that just go around gobbling up pathogens. You've also got these powerful proteins floating in your blood called the complement system, and they can either attack invaders directly or kind of tag them for other cells to destroy.
Now, one of the most important things the innate system does is kick off inflammation. It's this classic chain of events. First, you get a break in a barrier, like a cut. The sentinel cells on patrol immediately spot the intruders and sound the alarm by releasing these chemical signals. Those signals are basically a call for backup, pulling in more white blood cells from your bloodstream to rush to the site and launch a full-scale attack. And this diagram shows that whole process beautifully. Just follow the numbers. You see the break in the skin, then the sentinel cells sound the alarm, the blood vessel walls get leaky, and finally this flood of immune cells pours into the tissue to fight the infection. That whole coordinated dance is inflammation. It's innate immunity in action.
But what happens if the first responders, the innate system, just aren't enough? That's when we call in the specialists, the adaptive immune system.
So the adaptive system has 2 main strategies. You can think of it like air power versus ground troops.
Humoral immunity is the Air Force. It's led by B cells that release antibodies to attack invaders that are just floating around freely in your body fluids. Cell-mediated immunity, that's the ground force. It's led by T cells, and it's designed to hunt down and destroy your own cells that have already been infected and are now basically enemy factories.
The stars of the show here are the lymphocytes. B lymphocytes, or B cells, are those antibody factories we just mentioned. T lymphocytes, or T cells, have a couple of different jobs. Helper T cells are like the generals of the immune army. They direct the whole attack. And then you have cytotoxic T cells. They're the assassins, and their job is to kill infected cells one by one.
So how does the system find the perfect soldier for a specific enemy? Well, the answer is this absolutely mind-blowing concept called the clonal selection hypothesis. See, your body doesn't learn how to build the right cell after an attack. Nope. Instead, it has already made millions of different lymphocyte clones, and each one has a unique receptor for a specific molecular signature, or antigen. So when an infection happens, the invader's antigen just selects the one pre-existing clone that's already a perfect match. It's incredible.
And this slide shows what happens next. Once that one perfect cell gets selected, it gets the order to multiply. And this process, called clonal expansion, is just wild. That single cell divides and divides and divides, building a massive army of millions of identical clones, all of them perfectly designed to destroy that one specific bad guy.
So we have the fast, general, innate system and the slow, specific, adaptive system. But here's the thing. They don't work alone. Their coordination is the real secret to their success.
This right here is the absolute key to how they work together. Those innate first responders do way more than just fight. They're also intelligence agents. They capture a piece of the invader and they present it to the adaptive system. We call these antigen-presenting cells, and their job is to tell the special forces exactly what the enemy looks like. And this diagram captures that critical handoff perfectly. Deep inside a lymph node, an innate antigen-presenting cell finds a naive T cell that has the matching receptor. It presents the antigen, and this single little interaction is the spark that ignites the entire powerful adaptive immune response.
The result of all this is a brilliant two-part legacy. First, you get this huge army of effector cells. Those are the soldiers who fight and wipe out the current infection. But second, and this is just as important, a small number of these cells become long-lived memory cells. They are the veterans who stick around for years, making sure that if that same enemy ever comes back, your response will be immediate and completely overwhelming. This right here is the basis for long-term immunity, and it's the whole principle behind how vaccination works.
So we've seen how this incredible system can recognize, fight, and remember millions of different threats. But that leaves us with some really big questions. I mean, how is this massive library of fighters even created in the first place? And maybe the most important question of all, how does this powerful army know the difference between an enemy invader and you? We'll dig into that next time.